Right, I'm going to have a look at these rockers. In the middle of your rockers you've got your breather set up, which consists of a top plate, gasket, bottom plate. Your bottom plate, you've got like a filter type of thing, which if you get a complete gasket set you'll get a new filter anyways, so that can be discarded. You've also got like a flap thing which works as like a one-way. You know, if for some reason it sucks, it'll pull itself tight against the surface, and it's just held in with that nib there. They just basically pull out. And again, if you buy a complete gasket kit, they usually come with them, so that'll be getting replaced as well. Another gasket on the bottom side of that. And that's basically your breather setup, so that'll be getting all cleaned up. Check it all for flatness and stuff, but I don't think there's going to be an issue really. And then on the bottom, there's holes in the bottom of here, and it's just a case of I'll make sure that none of the holes are blocked up, because all this will be getting cleaned anyways. So what we'll do now is take these bolts out. On your rocker arm, you check your end plate. You pull it as far to one side as you can. The feeler gauge goes in. That's the 8, as in 8 thou. That's a 9 thou. That's sort, you can feel the friction as that one goes in. But I'll put a 10 in. It's in, but it's tight. And 11. That just sort of sits in the corner, but it doesn't really want to go in, so I'm going to force it. So if you say, for argument's sake, 10 as a max, and it is tight. It's even tighter in that one, but it does go in. So the end plays sort of fine. Now your rockers run on a shaft in bushes, and just generally feeling, there doesn't seem to be any play, but obviously if they stick, just get like a brass bar and just tap it through. Always tap out this end, because that's the bit, the bolt that goes through there goes into a, I'll rephrase all that. Tap it out from that end so that this comes out first, and that, I think you can see it, there's a notch there, and when your bolt goes through your case, through the support, it goes in there, and it stops your shaft from moving in and out when your engine's running. So just pull the shaft out carefully and lift your rocker arm out. keep a note of which shaft goes in where. It's always best to keep them in put them back in where they came from, sort of thing. No, it's not that this is being stiff, it's just it's covered in oil. I can't grip it very well. What I'll do is I'll measure these to make sure that there doesn't feel as if there's any play, and you couldn't see any movement, but I'll measure it anyways. Measure my bushes, measure the shaft, make sure everything's in spec, and then when I come to clean all these out, there's like part of an oil weigh here. This oil comes out the end here. I'll check the state of me all that are clean, make sure that they're not excessively marked up or out. Just generally give it a good clean up. As I say, check the bushes. There's 2 bushes in each of these, so I'll just stick them to one side for now. As I say, you could always put your shaft through, so you know which shaft was which. I like to always put the shafts back in where they came from. Check all this over, give it a proper good clean up, and then put it back together. Now basically the other rocker setup, this one's off the front head, so I'll when I knock it off, I'll give it all a check over, and then I'll do the rear rocker setup. The same thing applies, exactly the same. The breather setup's virtually the same, is the same. The rockers work the same, it just basically is on a different head. So we'll leave it at that for now. I'll come back. Right, this is the rocker gear off the rocker arms and that off the rear head, and the 3 have pushed out, but this one won't. So this is what I was on about before, when you sell a brass rod. I'm going to try and do this, I'm going to keep hold of it. Just put the brass rod on the end of the bar, on the end of the shaft, sorry, and just tap. I mean, as you can see there, it's starting to come out. It's not, I'm just using a little nylon hammer. And just keep tapping gently away. Just seems to be tight. It's not tight on the arm itself. It's just tight in there. See, this one in the opposite end, there's no problem in there. Wrong one anyways. I know it's not the right shaft for this hole, but this one Now that's tight as well in there, so it looks like this might be tight on each end, but this one, you know, not a problem. So it's that end, it's this end where it was tight. So we'll have a look into that. I mean, I've had it before where all 4 shafts have had to be knocked out and they've been absolutely fine. I've had it where all 4 shafts have just been able to push out and they've been fine. But yeah, if you're doing one of these and that happens, then basically a brass bar that's smaller than the shaft obviously, and just tap it out. Okay. Right, I've been doing some measuring and checking of clearances, etc. I've done the rocker arms, checked the bushes and the shaft and the support plate, and I've also done the valves and the guides. And what we've got here is, this is the front head, and that's the rear head. That's the shafts that go through the rocker arms. That's the rocker arms. That's the support plates. And what I've got is inlet and exhaust. And what you've got here is the measurement at the push rod end. This is on the shaft. The push rod end in the middle and at the valve end. So we've got 0.554 on the shaft. That's pretty round. That's all different measurements, like sort of I might get it at say 12 and 6, 9 and 3, sort of half 7, half 1. So I did it in 4 different places in each bit of the shaft, and that's pretty round and accurate. I can say accurate, it's pretty round and consistent, that's the word I'm looking for. And it's the same on the exhaust shaft. Then on the rocker arm, on the push rod end of the rocker arm, you've got 0.5545, so it's half a thou clearance. The only bit was on one part of it, or whether it was just me tightening the gauge a bit tighter, or I don't know, but it's come up as 555, so that's a thou on one part of the bush. But again, 3 other parts of the bush are coming up at 5545, so it's half a thou, and that one's a thou. And it's the same on this one, half a thou on 3 measurements. This is at the valve end of the rocker arm. Half a thou on 3 of the measurements, and a thou on 1 of them. And then on the support shaft, it's the sort of same thing, 3 at half a thou, 1 at a thou, 3 at half a thou, 1 at a thou. These are the same, pretty much the same as this one. But then when I come to the rear head, the shaft was half a thou smaller than the front head shaft on both of them, on inlet and exhaust side. But the clearances were pretty much the same, half a thou with one being a thou. Same on exhaust and on the support plates, so they're all well within spec, so there'll be nothing getting replaced on there. It'll just get cleaned up and put back together, which obviously you'll see it going back together. And then on the valves and clearances in the guides, the valve was mic'd, and all the valves on every measurement came out at 0.275. And then on the guides, you've got like this is on the inlet. The guide come out at 2761, so that's like 1.1 thou. So that's just over a thou clearance on pretty much all of it. Then you get onto the exhaust valve, which, as I've already said, all the valves come out at 275. This is on the valve stem, obviously. And the guide has basically come out at like 2768, 2768. This one was sort of 8/9. It was a bit of a toss-up on there, but it could have just been the way I measure it. I do my guides, I do 2 checks. I measure it with a ball gauge, a ball end gauge, and like a T-bar gauge, and then mic them. But that pretty much come out at 2768 down, and then sort of at the lower end of the valve it's coming out at 2767, and that's pretty much the same on the rear head for the inlet and the exhaust. So you're looking at about a thou, just over a thou clearance on the inlet, and just under 2 thou clearance on the exhaust. So like 1.8 thou, and it's the same on the rear head, 1.8 thou clearance, 1.7 thou clearance. And pretty much the only difference on the inlet valve guide was one measurement that came out at 2762. So again, valves and guides are well within specs. So I'll measure the guides in the head to make sure they haven't moved, which they probably won't have. But as long as they haven't moved, then again nothing will be getting touched on there, just all be getting cleaned up and put back together. Obviously with new seals and etc, gaskets, all that sort of stuff. So all in all, top end's pretty good. Right, and that's it for now.